Hello, Iona College. I am your host with the most, Jersey Joe, and you're listening to WICR's Radiothon 2013. We're broadcasting live from the basement of LaPenta until midnight tonight. You can listen on live on Ustream.com, live365.com. Just search WICR. Don't forget to visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WICR Iona College Radio, and follow us on Twitter at Iona WICR. And we've had a couple of Twitter questions come in during the break. If you want to submit a question to me personally, you can send it to @SportsVaultIona. We'll answer your question on the air. So a couple more questions. Well, let's get right into them. One of them is for tonight's NBA matchup, which we'll be talking about during this segment. And people are asking, I have to pick up a guy for tonight. Should I go with Reggie Jackson or Kirk Hinrich? Reggie Jackson or Kirk Hinrich? Tough one right there. I'm having this problem as well. Only two teams playing tonight. You have the Nuggets and the Bulls playing, and the Clippers and the Thunder. Two pretty decent matchups. And this one is tough, though. I went back and forth on this one. I like the way Reggie Jackson's been playing. He's going to get you a couple assists, going to get a couple rebounds. He's not going to score too much. I mean, you're not going to be awed by either guy, but they're both going to do well. I like Hinrich. He's scrappy. He's a smart player. I think they're both similar, and they're both going to put up similar types of numbers. Honestly, you can't really go wrong with either one. Defensively, the Clippers are probably will struggle more than the Nuggets will. So maybe go with Reggie Jackson. But if you want playing time, I think Hinrich will probably get more playing time than Jackson. So because of playing time, I think I'd pick up Kirk Hinrich in that one. Another question that came in too was, and this is one that, being a Heat fan, I think I could give you a pretty good answer for, is should I be concerned with Dwayne Wade for fantasy this season? I drafted Dwayne Wade as well, being a big Heat fan, and there may be some concern there. I don't think he's going to be playing in back-to-back games until December, so that's definitely something to consider. You might want to look to pick somebody up because you're going to be having him on your bench a lot, at least until after December, and it's a big concern for the Heat because they will only go as far as the core can take them. They can get as much production out of the bench as they want, but at the end of the day, you need LeBron to do what he does, and you know you're going to get everything out of him, and you're going to need to get a lot out of Dwayne Wade. Maybe not as much as in the last couple of seasons because his skills are definitely diminishing. Age is getting up to him. He's taken a lot of hits over the years, but it's a big concern for Dwayne Wade because, look, we talked about it when John Stanko was here with me. The Pacers are an extremely good team. They've improved significantly. They present a clear danger to the Heat to dethrone them. And I think if Dwayne Wade continues with these struggles, it could very well be that the Pacers dethrone the Heat. And a big thing that I'm concerned about is at the beginning of the season, you heard all everybody was saying was, look how healthy Dwayne Wade is. He's a completely different guy. He's very different. He's healthy now. And I just haven't seen it. I mean, the fact that he's not playing back-to-backs until December shows that he's definitely not healthy. He's not where he needs to be. So I'm definitely worried about Dwayne Wade. Fantasy-wise, though, I mean, he hasn't put up terrible numbers in the games he's played. So I wouldn't worry about dropping him or anything like that. I mean, just roll with Dwayne Wade, see what happens. If after December you never know. I mean, he hasn't put up terrible numbers, so that's that one. And another question just came in, so we're going to go with this. We'll answer this one too for you guys. And that one is, you were pretty high on Tyreek Evans going into the season. Are you concerned with his bad start to the season? I'm a little concerned with Tyreek Evans. I really liked him with the Kings. I thought he was a very good player. I thought the Kings kind of messed up his development a little bit because they kind of moved him all over the place. They never really gave him a definitive position. They kind of moved him too much, and I think that really stunted his growth. And he's coming off the bench to start the season with the Pelicans. I think he'll ease his way into the starting rotation, and part of it might just be he's starting into the new team. That could be part of it, just growing pains. But I've seen a little bit to be concerned about there. You never know. Tyreek Evans is kind of a weird player because his rookie season he looked phenomenal. He looked like he was going to be a superstar in the league. And after that, when the Kings kind of messed him up by moving him around too much, I think that might have stunted his growth a little bit. So I'm not sure what to expect out of him. I think it's too early to panic too much, but I would probably stash him on my bench right now if I have the depth to do it. because I think right now it's going to take him a while to ease into it. I think maybe once he's back in the starting rotation, if that happens, he might put up better numbers. But he has had two pretty good games in a row, so maybe he's just getting out of the rough start, and now he'll pick it up from there. But getting into the NBA stuff, obviously for Knicks fans, they're pretty depressed after the game last night. And there was some positives there. I mean, the Knicks played a good game. They went up 13-0 in that game. They definitely had a chance to win that game. But my problem with the Knicks is they're just a selfish team. When you rely on the stars of J.R. Smith and Carmelo Anthony, you get what you ask for right there. I mean, Carmelo is what he is. He's one of the better scorers in the NBA, but he's just not an efficient player. And my man LeBron James, he is the king of efficiency. And I think you look at the guys who are winning championships in this league, they're efficient players. And Carmelo is I don't think he knows what the word efficient means. I mean, he's a good scorer, but shooting percentage is terrible. You waste a lot of possessions. And when you play a team like the Pacers, you cannot waste possessions, especially for the Heat. That's been part of the big problem why they've struggled so much against them. When you play the Pacers, every possession counts because you're going to lose a lot of the rebounding battle against the Pacers. They're just big, they're physical, they're young, they run the floor well, so you're not going to out rebound them. So that's a big problem, especially with the Knicks not having Tyson Chandler. That's a very big problem there in itself. So I would definitely be concerned with that. And if you're the Knicks, it's time to panic. Now, there's a lot of people who are saying Mike Woodson should be maybe on the way out the door. I'm not sure about that. I like Mike Woodson, but he has to work with what he has. And you have Carmelo Anthony. And Carmelo Anthony, wherever he's gone, he's been the same guy. He's not a very good defensive player. He's a good scorer. And the Knicks just don't have a lot of good pieces. They have no two-way players other than Amon Shumpert, who has a decent offensive game, very good defender. There's no two-way players on that team. Amari's contract is a really big problem with that team, but point guard wise, they're not getting too much production without Felton. Udrich had an okay game last night. Chandler is a big part of that offense. When he comes back, it'll be bolstered a little bit. J.R. Smith, I've never been crazy about his antics off the court. He's pretty much the same as Melo. Not a great defender, not a very good efficient shooter. Doesn't make the guys around him better. And when you build your team on two guys like that, you're begging for trouble right there. So that's a concern in itself. Bargnani, some people are banging on, but for what he is, he hasn't played terribly. For a guy his size, he should be a better rebounder, should be a better defender, but he's not. He never has been. He never will. And he is what he is, and you're getting what you asked for with him. So the Knicks, they got a lot of questions. They're playing the Wizards on Friday. We'll be discussing more on my show tomorrow at the Sports Vault, 12:30 to 1:30 if you want to tune in to hear more about that. But I'll get into it a little for you now. The Wizards are a good team, okay? They had a tough start to the season. Bradley Beal has been playing phenomenal. He's one of the better scorers in the league right now. Has been so good. John Wall has been playing very well as well. I mean, their team seems like it's finally gelling together. They have a lot of good pieces. They've been bad for a long time, so they have a lot of early draft picks. Nene Hilario has played very well this season. So the Wizards have a lot of talent, and I think the win last night was very demoralizing for the Knicks because they could have and should have won that game. And if it wasn't for Paul George just being a phenomenal player, they would have had a nice win, and it might have been able to get them some momentum, pull off a couple wins, and maybe snap out of this. But it was another loss, and I see J.R. Smith, guys like him, they seem like they're panicking right now, and that's no good. And it could be a rough time for the Knicks. It really is. I mean, it's tough, but thankfully you're not alone, Knicks fans. Your local Brooklyn Nets are also really struggling, and going into the Nets a little bit, I mean, they've pretty much struggled as much as the Knicks have, but I think theirs might be at the beginning of the season. I mean, I said it, me and my partner Big Shot Rob on our show, we were always confident. We said it, that you're building a team around players who've seen better days. you're putting a lot of stock into a team with Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. And Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, you could see their skills were diminishing last year. Their numbers were down. They've seen a lot better days. And you just can't rely on building a championship team with two guys who are that old. You're just not going to get enough out of them. And I think Jason Kidd, too, has been the other thing. When it happened, I thought this could either turn out really well or this is going to be a complete disaster. And it looks like it might be turning into a complete disaster. I've read from some scouts who say Jason Kidd just doesn't do anything. He relies on his assistant coaches to call all the plays. And I honestly think that Jason Kidd might have thought it would be a lot easier than it was. I just think a guy like him didn't expect how much work it's going to take to be a coach for a championship winning team. And let's look at it. Last year, the Nets, they fired PJ Carlesimo because they had way too high expectations. That was not an NBA championship caliber team. I don't think the Nets are an NBA championship caliber team this year. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Kidd just didn't stick it out. I think it's going to require a lot more hard work than he thought it was going to. I think a lot of people thought they could rely on the veteran presence to handle easing into a new coaching position, but I don't think that's going to work out, and the Nets have a lot of problems. Darren Williams is now banged up. This Nets team is not as good as everybody thought they were. I never put too much stock into them. I never thought they were going to be as good as everybody did, but this Nets team, there's some concern there. It's still very early, though, in the season, so one thing that everybody should maybe consider is maybe give these teams a little bit of time, the Knicks and the Nets, but I think the red flags are there. They're definitely something to consider, and who knows? There's some problems there. But let's go into, obviously this week, a lot of news regarding the NBA has been Kobe Bryant and his comeback. Look, everybody loves Kobe. Kobe's a fantastic player, but even when he comes back, I think this Lakers team, it's all right. They are what they are. They're not a fantastic team. Guys like Jordan Farmar have played well so far, but I think even when Kobe comes back, and he will be back, I got the stats up here right now for the Lakers and stuff like that. You got them sitting at 5-7 so far. Not terrible so far, but I think even with Kobe, give credit to Steve Blake, he's played well so far. But I think with Kobe, this is still not really a playoff caliber team. You've got a lot of good, talented teams in the West right now. You've got Houston playing good basketball. Golden State is playing fantastic. The Clippers are playing well. You got Oklahoma City. And people are sleeping on this team, but the Portland Trailblazers are 10-2 right now. The Portland Trailblazers were a very good team last year. Their problem last year was they had no bench. There's no way around it. They had no bench last year. Damian Lillard just seems to be overlooked. He's one of the best bright young players in the NBA. Fantastic point guard. People don't give him enough credit, but he's a really solid player. I like Damian Lillard. This team now with a bench, look out. The West is stacked. And then you look at the other half. You have the Timberwolves who are playing very good basketball. The Pelicans are a young team. They're good. They have a shot. They have a lot of talent on that team. And even teams like Denver. Denver struggled a little bit, but you still can't out a team like that with a capable point guard like Ty Lawson. So there's a lot of talented teams in the West. Even the Grizzlies have been playing very well right now. For the Lakers, even with Kobe back, with all of the teams in the West, I just don't see them being able to even sneak into that 8th spot. Because even San Antonio, nobody's talking about San Antonio either, but they're 10-1. Every year we're talking about the young Warriors, the Clippers, the Thunder, but nobody ever talks about the Spurs. They kind of just do their thing. They're always going to be there. Greg Popovich and that unit, even though Tim Duncan struggled a little, they still have a very good core. They have young, good players like Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green, who are improving. And the Spurs, you just can't count out. They're still a very good team, and you just never know. I still am not expecting much out of the Lakers at this point. I think there's just too many good teams in the West for them. But when Kobe comes back, everybody will be excited to watch him play. I among them. And like I said, we'll see what happens there. But just looking at the East right now, give you a quick. Right now, you got Indiana at 10-1, and then the Heat at 9-3, and Chicago at 6-3. A lot of people have been asking me, do I think that the Bulls can catch Indiana? it's tough. I never want to count out the Bulls. I think Tom Thibodeau gets as much out of his players as anybody in the NBA. I think he turns guys like Jimmy Butler, Taj Gibson. He makes these guys phenomenal players. He gets so much out of his core. Derrick Rose, some people have banged on him too. I think he's still coming off his injury. I think he's still not 100% healthy. I think it's going to still take him a little while to ease into it. I think you got to give Derrick Rose a little bit more time. If a healthy Derrick Rose, I mean, look, the Bulls have handed the Pacers their only loss this season. Maybe something to consider, maybe just something early in the season not to think too much about, but it's something to think about, and I'm not too sure, but I think the Bulls could definitely have a shot there. We'll see. Other than those three teams right now, though, every other team pretty much not too much to think about. You got Toronto, Atlanta, Charlotte, Philly, Detroit. The West, other than the top 3 to 4, there's not too much to work with there. I mean, the Knicks and the Nets probably a lot of people had up there in those spots, but they've really struggled. And the East just overall is just very weak compared to the West. The West is stacked across the board. East, not too much to ride home about. But before we go into another break, we've got a couple more questions, a couple football, a couple basketball. So I'll do one football and then I'll do a basketball as well to switch it up a little bit. And here's one of them. And somebody said a lot of websites are saying to start Ben Roethlisberger versus the Browns. What do you think? Switching gears to football for a minute. I would definitely be wary of that. Ben Roethlisberger did have a nice week against the Lions last week, but he's never been a reliable fantasy quarterback. He's never put up consistent fantasy quarterback numbers. The Browns have a very good defense. Do not sleep on the Browns' defense. They're at home. The Browns have played very well this year. They're 4-6, but they haven't had a very consistent quarterback. It's going to be a low-scoring game no matter what. Both teams have pretty good defenses. The Browns have a very good defense, young across the board. I like the Browns' defense a lot. I would not start Ben Roethlisberger in this game. I mean, I wouldn't think that he would be your starting quarterback anyway, so I don't know why they would be recommending. I mean, I agree with you. I've seen a lot of people recommending him too, and it puzzles me. So I'm glad you asked that question because I definitely think people should not be starting Ben Roethlisberger for this weekend. And then going to the basketball one we have is any guys to keep my eye on the waiver wire in my basketball league. And yeah, I mean, depending on the size of your league, it's going to vary on who's available. Smaller size leagues probably have better depth on the waiver wire. The average 8 to 10 people league is probably going to have a little bit of a thinner waiver wire. But so let's do this from the perspective of an 8-man league, like most of the ones I'm in are. And a couple guys I would keep my eye on is Mo Williams. Like I said, the Portland Trailblazers, 10-2, they are playing phenomenal right now. Mo Williams is a good change of pace for Damian Lillard. He's always been a pretty solid player. He's never been fantastic, but he gets the job done. He's a pretty solid player. So I like Mo Williams. He's a good player. I'd pick him up if you have depth and if you need him. He's going to put up decent numbers. The next guy is Nene Hilario. Had a couple inconsistent games in between good ones, but overall he's had a nice year. He's played well this year. I picked him up in my leagues a couple of times. I would keep my eye on him as well. I think he's played pretty well this year. The Wizards overall have played pretty well. And the last one, even though he's a Boston Celtic and it pains me to say it, Avery Bradley, he's a smart player. He's not too flashy, not going to give you a fantastic amount of points, but he's a good player. He's going to have spurts where he has a nice game here and there. Might be worth taking a look at. Those are our questions, though. We're going to go into another break. When we come back, man, we got baseball. We've got some more basketball, more football, more of everything. College football, we got it all here. We'll be right back. Like I said, we'll be right back. Just getting the thing ready for you guys. I'm sure everybody enjoyed that classic football, so let's give you a little bit more of that. It's good stuff right here. Be right back.
Watson right, Johnson left, Elway in the end zone and throwing it. It's complete. Winder dives out to the 7-yard line. And Johnson's in motion, reverses the motion, and the pitch is to Winder. Winder coming to the right, cuts to the